All right. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Been a decent week. Been a decent week.
Good.
Um, so just jumping right in, how was the atmosphere at the CFC game? Just going back since we haven't talked in like a month. That's been my biggest question.
We got a lot of catch up on her.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you can imagine it was a that was a good night. The locker room afterwards, or you saw the way the boys were afterwards. That was one of the things you said to us was it's important to you guys as fans, and especially as like OG fans that you know how big this game is for Chattanooga and for our fan base. And I told you that was something that we made sure our players knew, and I think you saw in their reaction, how big that game was in terms of we wanted to prove a point. There was a lot of things said, the way that it was marketed as a game. But some of it maybe underhand, maybe some of it
for sure
done,
Yeah.
And we saw all of that. And obviously we don't do a lot of talking out in public. And so, I think what you saw afterwards was a kind of, I don't know a better way to put it, a bit of an FU.
Yeah.
And like you said, a bit of validation of where we are and what this group is. This group's been written off, and pretty much every publication that writes about the league's written off, and they showed themselves to be very, very tough that evening, and frankly in a couple of evenings since then too. But yeah, the locker room afterwards had some buzz about it.
For sure. I can imagine the stadium had a buzz about it for a while. That's actually the first big game that a Chattanooga soccer team has won at Finley Field.
There you go.
So we gave them that honor at least.
Time, right?
Yeah. They stuffed us, into one corner with all this police tape around us.
Yeah.
Gave us one drink stand, but we broke down So I mean, just the whole. It was great. It was a great atmosphere. It was amazing.
It was fun to be involved in, and look, credit where credit's due. I mean, that's a big crowd. It's great for the city. I thought for the most part, it was just a really positive atmosphere, and you always get, a couple of people or areas that let you down, but it was a really fun night. So
yeah, thrilling. Maj, you had some thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, it was a great game. I think the fans, with what you're saying, where we don't talk a lot, for us as fans, as supporters, we want to hear the club come out and talk a lot and be verbal and post on social media and do all the things that they do. And then when you break it down, you look at it and it's like, the best talk is the talk that was on the pitch. Just watching our guys go out there and play with heart and passion, and didn't give up, went all the way down and to the last shots and everything, and did the talking on the pitches, we could say, and then watching little Maxie run out there and plant the flag in the center of the pitch was huge, especially since when we went there for the little pregame, their assistant GM decided that she wanted to have our flags taken down at the restaurant that we were at, which is okay. I guess it's one of those things where like, hey, you took down our flags from the restaurant, I guess we'll just plant one in the center of your pitch. And
I guess nobody. That was surprising. I did not expect to see a kid out there. I know, emotions were so high, even with their keeper. I like most football players, but I did not like their keeper. I don't. We don't have to go too far into it, but that guy drove me. He was just such a word.
I've never met the guy personally, but I have a lot of friends that know him personally, and everybody says he's a really great guy.
Good.
So
maybe off the pitch. That's
it's like we said, competition. Competitiveness run high. So
we're not meant to like the players of opposing teams or rivals.
Sure, right?
No, not at all. I mean, heck no. God, while we're playing the match, it's here's what it is. We're gonna give you 100% after the match. We'll shake hands and have dinner with you if we like you that much.
Yeah. I mean, I even went and had a beer at the Naked River. There was like one other Red Wolves fan, and all the CFC fans were there. So and we didn't feel unwelcome or even we left when some of the players started showing up, just to not be a jerk about it. But but it was it was good. It ended up being pretty positive, outside of all what it could have been.
I think at the end of the day,
like being around the city, like I think it was good for the city. I think it was good to market. I mean, got picked up by so many national outlets. The coverage that, I mean, frankly, both clubs have received and the city's received, I think it painted Chattanooga soccer in a really positive light. I think it painted our football club in a positive light, and hopefully it's just a platform to build off and grow from. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of great things can be accomplished when everybody comes together. And does
even
a lot
on
of great things.
an 8 yellow card night or whatever it was.
Hey, it wasn't as bad as New Jersey, though. I'll tell you that.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, so Tormenta home opener. I think Al Hassan's penalty force at the end of, that just showed his foot skills and his movement. That guy he's something special.
Yeah, he's exciting. Obviously he's young. Has a lot to. He's got a high ceiling, a lot of potential, but you can see it. He plays with an excitement. I think he's the type of player. He gets people off their seat. You never know. He can go past the play. He likes to run at players. There's definitely a rawness about him, and obviously there's just little bits and bobs that he's got to learn about the game and, frankly, who he is as a player. But yeah, he's been a great addition, and the biggest credit I can pay him is that obviously you see what you get going forward. But for me, a lot of time you get players like that, and they don't really want to put it in the other side of the ball. And he is a very competitive, hardworking player, so he fits in perfect with what we're trying to do, which I think we've talked about. That's, for me, that's a non-negotiable. I don't really give a crap how good you are at football unless you're willing to run. So, yeah,
he's definitely willing to run.
Oh, yeah. You blink your eye and you open up. You're like, wait, how did he get there so fast?
Yeah,
Is he one of the fastest on the team, or?
He'll be up there, but you know what? We've got a few. Jordan Ayambila is lightning.
Oh yeah.
You haven't seen it yet, but Grayson Mercer is lightning quick. Obviously Geordie, Pads. There's a few that can get going. So
yeah, for sure, Pedro. Yeah, that was an amazing game. And then AV Alta, the only loss of the season. Was that as dark as it looked like on TV? Because it looked like you playing, as the streetlights come on as a kid.
No, I mean, it was lit just fine. I think obviously a lot of the time with these, like obviously at our level, the stadiums and where they have the camera and all that kind of stuff, it can come across. For me, it never looks quite as good. Like if you look at our stadium on TV, it's not like, I always feel like our crowd's pretty good, and then I watch it back and it looks a little bit more sparse, but it sounds good. And I turn around and there's plenty of people there. So I just think the way the league is filmed, just because of probably budgets and all that kind of stuff for ESPN, doesn't present it always as well. But that was good atmosphere and a good stadium and a good setup. And I thought you're asking, was it as dark as the way I portrayed it in my post match?
No, you could kind of see that. And also, I think they've had some issues with the chants and all that. So it seems, I guess that was surprising to see in a United States stadium, but didn't they almost sell that out?
Yeah, well, I think they had 4 or so thousand. They've done a good job. Again, like it's a random place, like somewhere I'd never go unless, I'm sent there to play against maybe out at Lancaster, California. It's 2 hours out of LA, and just town. I don't know what the population is, but obviously it's the only pro sports team there, and it felt like the whole city came out to watch it. If you live, we're obviously more close to some big metropolitans with some huge sporting options, and for a city like that, I think they're the kind of locations the USL should get into, because cities like that are just dying for something to do on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
So
good little city out there.
Yeah, 2 hours north of LA. Yeah, I looked at it on a map just to see where it was. But I mean, and they've pulled some good players. Jimmy Villalobos, I mean, he's an insane player. He's really good, and of course Carlos out there.
Yeah, guys we know, and got a chat with Carlos. He's doing well. He's really enjoying it. Obviously, I don't have the same personal relationship with Jimmy as I do with Carlos, because Carlos played for me. But I mean, he's a great player and unfortunately had a really good game. But yeah, they're going to be a good team. They're well coached. They've got some good players. I think they have a style and identity. I said it. I think we let ourselves down. You can use the excuses. I'm not an excuse maker. I just think we let ourselves down. I think our first half performance was flat, and we look at Jimmy's goals. We talked about those moments specifically. Nothing drives me more or upsets me more than when we talk about something and then we disregard it. I talk about you can be the architect of your own success or you can be the architect of your downfall. And again, credit where credit's due, because it's a really well worked goal, both of them. And two really good finishes, but they were preventable, especially the first one. We look at that, we weren't in danger until we started to make poor decisions in terms of shape and structure, and then look, credit to Jimmy, it's a hell of a finish. But I felt that we'd let ourselves down there, and that was I'm always happy if we can go on the road trips like that and we come away with a point. I'll be absolutely fine.
Sure.
But I felt there was 3 points up for grabs there, certainly a point up for grab there, and again, if we hold on for a couple more minutes, we come away and we haven't lost a game this season.
Right. That penalty is definitely
that's football.
Debatable.
Yeah.
But Pedro's goal, that was Pedro, right, that scored the goal. That's who they announced it on television.
That was Matt. That was Bentley.
Okay. Well, Bentley scored the penalty first, right? And then
he got 2 in that game, yeah. And then
he got both? Okay.
Yeah,
they announced it on TV as Pedro, but I thought somebody said it wasn't actually Pedro.
Yeah.
That was an amazing, the penalty and that open play goal, which for our first open play goal of the season was that.
In league play, yeah.
In league play, yeah. Well, in league play, did we have any?
We had Omar.
Yeah, New Jersey, we scored. I mean, look, it's a set piece, but it's off the throw in.
Sure.
Now.
Off the throw in, yeah, okay. Yeah, but set piece, but open play, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Purely from play, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind the reputation of being the team that'll take you to penalties and beat you there too.
We placed that's a thing we came into the season and said we need every advantage we get, and we have put a lot of emphasis on set pieces.
I've also noticed.
So they're paying dividends.
Yeah, and you mentioned maybe not having the significant possession times, but still coming away with the goals and making right decisions when it matters. And I think that has played out in the numbers as well. So it seems like your game plan's working on that part.
Look, I mean, everyone's got a belief about football. I mean, to be fair, I'm not stuck to my belief about football, but I am stuck to it about League One football. And I just think the most overrated statistic in our game is possession. I think it's what you do with for example, and you see it on Saturday, Greenville had significantly more of the ball if you look at that statistic. But when it's broken down, we actually had the same amount of possessions. So the amount of possessions matters more than the size of each possession. Greenville's average pass string was, I think, 4.5. And on average, ours was 2.5. And most goals are scored in under 3 passes or less. And so I really don't. I just don't care for staying on the ball longer than need to. I want the same amount of possessions, if not more, and I would like those possessions to be effective. And I think it's very, very difficult to break a team down once you've connected the 3rd, 4th, 5th pass, because you'll just do what we do. We'll sit in a block.
Yeah.
The video clip I showed this morning praising the boys, Greenville strung 8 passes together and then passed it out of play. And we just stayed in shape, shift, get out where you need to. And so, yeah, I do have that belief. I firmly believe that possession is an overrated statistic. I think it's a fun game. If you look at all the scores at the end of the night and you see which teams won, I think you'll be very surprised by who has more or less off the ball in that category. So, yeah. For what that's worth, that's a little bit of insight.
Now, the trip coming back from AV Alta and then flying back out to Vegas, are you guys tallying up the miles here? It seems like a lot of our games are on the road here lately. Have you earned your guys' ability to fly first class on all these flights that you guys are going yet with Miles, or is that still in the works?
You better bet that I'm putting, and all the lads are racking up flat sky miles on these trips. But yeah, it's been a lot. I'm not gonna lie, and it's been tiring. But I don't know if I mentioned, I've been sick for I'm on the rebound now. I feel okay. But I went to California, I was sick. Went to Vegas, I was sick. So this, it's wearing and tearing on the body, it's wearing and tearing on the mind. But I got to say, I think for us and what we want to be as a group and identity, I like it. I like the adversity. I like the challenges. I think tough people can do tough things, and playing under, like I said, tiredness, soreness, extensive travel is an early and big believer in building blocks or markers that suggest, we say you can do something, well, where's the evidence and proof? We say we can do hard things, we can say we can battle for adversity, and we've got plenty of that early on to say we're capable of doing difficult things. So be nice to be at home a little bit more, but there are definitely benefits as well.
I think we'll get the chance, right? So we go to Birmingham, and then you'll be home for 2 games, although it's a short week.
Yeah, Birmingham, Nashville, and then 2 at home. I think Richmond and Naples, but I could have that wrong.
Yeah, Richmond and Naples, because that'll be that I think will be, especially with Richmond, a chance to move up the table. I think they're 3-3 right now.
I look at both of those games. I look at every game. I look at every game at home as, and again, we talk about points on the road, where you want to make CHI a place where teams don't want to come, that we're very, very difficult to play against, and that we back ourselves to win games. We've got to prove it over and over, and we won't win every game. We won't lose every game. We won't tie every game, but certainly the way the league's structured, the way it's built out, the teams, the rosters are built out, so competitive. There's no game that we should ever look at and go, certainly teams that are more difficult. You got to Omaha historically. It's a tough place to play. They're historically very good, and they win a lot. But I think I've taken a team to Omaha 5 times now, and everyone's been a very competitive game. So that's how we look at it.
For the matches that you've played already, which one or what points can you see from those matches? Could you say this was a positive, something that we continue to build on, that you've seen from a previous match, maybe it didn't go the way we wanted it, and in this match, regardless of the results, you've seen the team click in a certain department or area to improve and continue to build. Has there been some of those yes moments, or that's what we're looking for type thing that the team continues to build on?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at the 2 first halves, and maybe even the totality of the game on Saturday, and in both, if we just talk about the first halves in both the Vegas game and the Greenville game, we didn't concede a chance in either half, other than obviously we went in a 1-1. We gave away a penalty. That's a really, really poor decision. It's just bad decision making. There's nothing else to say about it. But other than that penalty against Vegas, and Greenville didn't have a chance in the first half, that's defensively solid, structure, shape, making the right decisions when you step out, when you can go forward. And again, in both games, we had really good chances. So you had, obviously, Zaire scored against Vegas, but Alassane had a 1-on-1, a couple of services into the box. Trying to think who had another one of those chances. But we had 4 or 5 chances first half against Vegas and conceded 0. Greenville was the same, especially off that right-hand side. Omar, Joshi, Benson in the box, Zaire, combinations down there. We had a lot of chances in that first half, 4 or 5 pretty good ones. And again, didn't concede any. So that's, and again, reference back to my idea or belief around possession. That's maximizing. Same amount in the first half, by the way, same amount of times where we had the ball and established an attack versus Greenville had the ball and established an attack. I think 45% in the first half, we ended up in the opposition penalty box. They didn't end up in our penalty box once with something on the end of it, so I was really, really pleased with that. I think they were 2 very, I think they were closer to identity, but foundational identity building performances. You saw what we can be.
look really good. I mean, it's definitely looking together. You can see the difference, like as far as I'm looking at it, watching the AV Alta game and then coming into the Vegas game, you could see a difference. Like to me, I saw like a growth, like we stepped up another level of play, and then we come home against Greenville and you watch it again, like, okay, here's another advancement that the team makes. And I don't know about you guys, I like to enjoy watching the game live, and then when I go home, I'm watching it again before I go to bed, and I'll watch it another maybe once or twice just to kind of see exactly what it is and focus on different players and try to get ideas of what's going on. As far as the way that the team is playing, the style, is it, it looks a lot more different than the style we had last year. Is this more of the style that you're wanting to continue to play and to develop and grow with what we're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think one of the things we did in the off season was went away and said, look, we have to. Coming into 2024, I had an idea of what I wanted to be and what I wanted the group to be, and I've talked about it before. We got the recruitment wrong, so the players that we had couldn't do, just physically, technically, whatever, for whatever reason, they couldn't execute. They couldn't do it. So then we had to obviously get to the point where that was accepted and then change. And then towards the end of the season, when it's very tough, we were very much a bunker in team and really just didn't have the attributes to be able to. It just didn't fit. It doesn't matter how you sliced it. The individual pieces, which frankly are good people and good quality players, they didn't fit to come out in any. I couldn't tell you what we were doing. As bad as that sounds, it just didn't work. And we tried a lot of different things. So we went into the off season and said, well, we are going to play a certain way, and we're going to recruit players that fit playing that certain way, and be very, very deliberate about what we do. There isn't nothing we do is by chance. We have a very, very detailed game model. We work through it. We continue to. That's no different than teaching in school, really. We have a game model. We work through it. We keep educating it, and we add little layers to it. So I'd say we're at like phase 1, phase 2 and you see that in the structure when we have the ball, when we don't have the ball, and then where we have to go from there is just add a little nuance as we get very comfortable in what we do as a foundation, what the rotations look like, how do we increase quality when we get into certain desirable areas, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think I've always liked using the term identity. For me, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about football or whatever you do in life. You've got to have a clear idea of who you are to be able to go and be successful. It was very difficult to use that term last year. We never found an identity. This group early on has obviously been recruited to form and fit an identity, and then we've worked towards that every day. I feel very comfortable using that word in our locker room, whereas maybe in 24, I felt like a bit of a fraud using it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
At least in a positive light.
Right. Yeah, I understand. So back to Greenville, they seem to be maybe a bit on a slide. I think they're lost 4 out of the last 5. And I noticed you dropped from a 4-4-2 down to 4-4-3 and bought Yahi Paez up, or Vasquez, sorry, up to the front, which he then scored the goal. Did you feel a little bit more comfortable taking shots in that game because of Greenville, or is this maybe a change we'll see more often?
No, I mean, in terms of structure, the only thing I've tweaked is the way in any of the games is the way we utilize the front three. So, we've played games where we've gone 2 and 1, so 2 inside forwards under a 9. Saturday you saw more of a front three. And it just depends on where we think the space that we can occupy or have more success against the opposition is, or it might be personnel wise. We also played with more of a flatter 3 against Vegas, but that was more of a personnel thing. You go, Pedro and Hassi are lightning quick players, and you want to get them in areas where they can isolate and run at people. Saturday was just more of a how do we get the best out of our pressing structure piece. But Zai, I've known Zai for a long time. Zai has that quality. I'd like him to start finishing goals inside the box. He's got big aspirations he was telling me about. and I back him to achieve them. He's got the quality to finish outside the box. There's 2 phenomenal finishes, really. I'd like to see him add the clinical instinct in the box, and we're going to have a heck of a forward on our hands there.
Yep.
It seems like we do have some really strong forwards that aren't afraid to put the ball, to try to get the ball on goal and to take a shot and to challenge players. And it seems like, with the guys up front, it's exciting soccer. Like we talk about our defense, how strong the guys in the back line are with those guys, Owen, Jordan, Declan, Eric. You see these guys and the strong play in the box with the fellas back there, and then the middle of the pitch looks great. And it's just like you're just waiting to see like one game where it just really opens up, and those, the back of the net gets found 3-4 times in a game. It just seems like the guys are not scared to take challenges. They're not scared to find the open guy, and not scared to take a shot, to put that pressure on that goalkeeper, on the other end. So it's really exciting. You really start to see it coming together from the beginning of the season. You saw the back line really strong on the defensive end, and now you're starting to see, you see the little explosiveness with the offense, and the middle of the pitch is coming together. So it looks like it's really starting to come together. It's really exciting. So to watch a complete game go across, where we're looking up at the scoreboard and it's like, 4-5, 6-0, Coach Scott, is that you gonna let your foot off the accelerator, or will you keep pushing?
I think we legitimately said this at halftime in the locker room. I said to the lads, I said, well, we grab one and we can win the game 1-0. And that wasn't, that's not a take your foot off the gas kind of thing. But I think what we want to be as a team, look, we'd love to have games where we're running 4, 5, 6. Everyone would, right? And I truly believe we'll have a game, maybe 2 or 3 this year where it looks like that, and we are just untouchable because it's our night and it might not be the other teams. But more than that, I want us to be hard to beat. I want us to be great. I want us to be in a position where if we grab one, we're confident that we're going to see 3 points. And that was important to me on Saturday, that we got our goal. A little bit of fortune in terms of the boy giving us it, but also again we'd missed our chances we'd created ourselves. But I said to you get one, and then it's about moments, and you defend and you're good, and that to me is more important. That we are very, very difficult to play against. That the lads take pride in clean sheets, and again, look, Saturday, if we were more clinical. And it could have been one of those games where you're looking up and going 4, 5, maybe not 5. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Maybe 4.
It could have been 3, I think, at least.
Yeah.
Especially with that chance of we're super early in the game that they went off the post.
Josh is early on.
Yeah, Josh is shot.
Yeah. So
you can definitely feel the excitement in the CHI. As it's starting to build up, the fans in there, the excitement is definitely all focused on the pitch. With that, and hopefully we'll be able to get more fans to come in and watch the excitement as it continues to build. I think one of the big things that we talked about at the beginning of the season, myself and Kory, was like, with all the outside noise happening at the stadium, turn that off, focus what's on the pitch. These guys are going to give us what we're looking for. And I'd say through the first, we're going into week 8 now, they definitely, you and the boys have definitely delivered. On that excitement, that energy, that fight, that never give up, they don't quit, type mentality. And it's great to see that compared to previous years. Like, that until that final whistle is blown, that regardless of what the score is saying, our boys are going to give 100% on that pitch. And it's a huge thing. And implore everyone, if you haven't come out to a match, you need to come out, definitely watch these guys on the pitch, because it's exciting football all the way across from start to finish with our guys.
Yeah, no, I look, and that's all you can ask for. For me, I'll tell anyone that meets me, works with me. I have 4 values. I believe in work ethic and working hard and competing to be the hardest worker. I think if you're going to do something, you're all in and you commit. I think you have to find joy in what you do. Otherwise, it's just not going to last. And I think you have to be open to learning. If you do those 4 things, and me and you get on really well, and if that's not what you're about, then we don't get on. We will not be compatible. But in this group, as you said, you sit on the pitch. they work, they commit. The quality goes up and down. Like wins and losses goes up and down. I know we'll lose games, and I handle that no problem if I know that we have application wise, maybe not in terms of quality, maybe that lets you down. You know, we talk about an outer second goal we concede because of an errant backward pass. We've given the ball away when we've won it back, but that's a quality breakdown. That's, you know, to a certain extent, it's an uncontrollable. What I'm more bothered about is the reaction and the effort and the intensity, and that's all I've said. Like, again, with the fan base, I'm not promising that we'll go win a league or we'll play player or whatever. I'm not promising that, or a certain amount of wins. But what I do feel comfortable promising is that I will give you a group that will give you everything we've got, and that we work every day to maximize our potential. I don't know what that is yet, but I am excited to find out. And again, it's important that we have that as our foundation, because, again, as you mentioned, historically, it's not always been the case.
I do think the hustle has been there all year, but you know, they're really starting to gel and come together, commit less fouls, you know, less penalties. We've given up a lot of penalties, so I think as they get better and better and better, you know.
2 last week, so I wouldn't speak.
I'm putting it out there in the universe. We're manifesting.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We definitely need to make that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's going to happen. It's going to be good. But so we're looking forward to Birmingham. Majdi, any parting thoughts?
Oh man, I'm excited for Birmingham. I really am. It's a team that we played in the preseason. Of course, what you see in the preseason and what you're going to see during season are going to be two different things. So really excited there. Excited to make that road trip, hopefully.
I'd be happy if we see the same thing we saw in preseason, actually. But
yeah, I mean, you know, I think we have a shot in every game. I think we have a really good shot in this game as well.
I do have one question for you that is the requested question. Who is your favorite player on the team?
I'm gonna give you my politically correct answer, and then I'll give you a clue. But the politically correct answer is I don't have favorites.
That's what I heard the answer would come back. That's what they told me that you would say.
The real answer is, of course, I have favorites, but you'll have to ask someone else their opinion of who, and they might be. I'll even tell players I have favorites. I don't think that, like, you'd be bullshitting if you're telling players that you don't prefer, not as people, but as players. And mine have always come down to the ones who are just absolutely all in, that are industrious. That it's however they demonstrate it, but who've got a win. I really do think there's two types of football players. You've got winners and losers. And I want to be surrounded by the winners, the people that do the little things that make the big differences, the people who do stuff that doesn't quite show up on the stat sheet, the cultural architects. Those are the players that are my favorites. Now, there are a lot of those in our group. I'm really fortunate to work with the group that I work with currently. I thoroughly enjoy it every day. So.
Well, we definitely see a lot of those players during academy nights, with the academy players, you know, coming out and helping coaching in some instances, or just talking. And of course, when you guys came back from Vegas, the little pit stop that the team bus made at the field after the academy practice was huge. All the kids were excited, and you know, got to welcome home the players and take pictures and do all that great stuff. So it's, you know, it's really exciting to see that, especially this year. You know, we had great communication with the first team in the academy, but this year, I don't know, it just seems a lot more connected. You know, these players, like you see the academy players seem like they're a lot more connected with the first team, and vice versa. And that's really exciting to see, that it's not just a team. It's really a family from the top all the way down, you know, to our pups and stuff. And I get the privilege because my daughter gets to play with your daughter, and you know, get to see all that great stuff. So it's amazing stuff going on in Chattanooga. So any predictions for this Birmingham game? Or
we're going out there to get points in the we want to have a positive start in the Jaeger Cup, you know, especially where league and Jaeger play typically is still a Saturday thing. There's no priority. We want to go after both of them, and you know, predictions I couldn't put one out there, but I expect as I always will expect of our guys, I expect them to leave everything they've got on the pitch, and I expect them to make another jump, and those little minor improvements that will stand us in good stead long term.
Fantastic.
So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, Coach. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Go get some chicken noodle soup or
yeah,
boneless wings. Or
I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the platform. I like that we're trying to grow this thing together. So
yeah, same. It's been awesome.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
you, sir.
See you soon.
Have a great night, Coach.
All right. Bye.